At the end of 1941, while trying to support Decca from afar, Sydney had plenty of problems at home. Debbie's baby, a son, was stillborn. Unity was sent off to stay with friends so that Deborah, who was very depressed, could come to their cottage for a while. It was tragic for Sydney that her daughters all seemed at odds with each other. She could never understand it. Nancy too had a crisis. Her lively relationship with the charmer Andre Roy had resulted in an ectopic pregnancy, in which her fallopian tubes were found to be damaged beyond repair and were removed. She was told that she could never have children. Perhaps it was not surprising that the circumstances of Peter's parents were not sympathetic, but Nancy clearly expected them to be. Her mother-in-law was told by the surgeons that Nancy would be in danger for 3 days. Not one of them even rang up to inquire, let alone send a bloom, Nancy wrote to Deanna. I long to know if they looked under R in the death column. Love was wonderful. She swam in a haze between me and Deborah. When my symptoms were explained to his ovaries, I thought one had 700 like caviar. Then I said how I couldn't bear the idea of a great scar on my tongue, to which he replied, but darlings, who's ever going to see it? Poor Debo must be wretched. The worst thing in the world, I should think, except losing a manuscript of a book, which I always thought must be the worst. Friendly relations had been re-established between Nancy and Deanna, and occasionally when Deanna got permission for her older children to spend a day in Holloway, when Diana got permission for her elder children to spend a day with her in Holloway, Nancy had 12-year-old Jonathan and 10-year-old Desmond to stay with her overnight at Blomfield Road to make things easier for them. They are bliss, she told Deanna. So awfully nice and thoughtful and tidy. The nicest guest I ever had. Jonathan is so funny. In March 1942, Nancy got a job at £3 a week managing Hayward Hill's bookshop at 17 Curzon Street.
Aye.
George Hayward Hill had been called up, so Nancy ran the shop, helped by his wife Anne. She enjoyed her job, had always loved being surrounded by books, and here her wide knowledge of literature was put to practical use. She had no objection to the administrative side of a bookshop, packing and unpacking, sorting and perfecting the hands, sorting and placing the books in their correct categories, and her friends popped into the shop for a chat whenever they passed. It became a meeting place, with knots of Nancy's friends standing around roaring, so that at times other customers might have been forgiven for feeling they were intruding on a private cocktail party. Given Nancy always had a new story to make droppers in laugh, such as the one she told of the wife of an American millionaire who met a parson's daughter wearing a necklace of lapis-lazuli. Oh, said the American, I have a staircase made of those. She usually walked the 2.5 miles to work every morning, and sometimes back again in the morning. In the evening, so she became fit. The only thing she disliked was the drudgery of working hours. Once she decided to catch a bus and was accosted by an American serviceman who grabbed her around the waist. Nancy rounded on him. Leave me alone, I'm 40, and he did. James Lee Milne was surprised to find out that the rebellious Nancy had become rather conventional. It is clearly her duty, she lectured him, to remain in England after the war. clearly our duty. It is clearly our duty to remain in England after the war and to forgo the temptation to get out. The upper classes have derived more fun from living in this country since the last war than any other stratum of society in any country of the world. No more foreign parts for us. And she hissed the violent sibilant, almost turning it into a joke. But she was deadly serious about doing her bit for the war, and she demonstrated it by walking to work, saving electricity by not turning on the water heater, sticking to a 4-inch depth of water in her bath and refusing to attend a ball thrown by Debo because the news was so bad. Her first love, Hamish, had been taken prisoner, as had Tim Bailey, the only survivor of the 4 Bailey cousins. Tom was in Libya and Prod was in Ethiopia. While they were dancing in London, she said, the men might be fighting for their lives. This was a somewhat inconsistent view, for Nancy hardly lived like a nun and had an active social life, which included throwing parties regularly.